Hi everybody, this is Tony E with Show IP Interface Brief, and today we're going to go over our third LinkedIn challenge. Here's the topology that was proposed. It's a switch, it's two switches running OSPF in between them. These two hosts, I presume, are on the same subnet, and they need to have reachability to each other across this layer 3 routed domain. So this is actually going to be using VXLAN, but I don't actually have the switch images necessary to run VXLAN. So I'm going to go ahead and use the Cisco router platforms, and I'm going to show you two alternative ways of solving this. Here's my EVNG topology. So I'm using 4 routers, and I'm using a little different IP schema than was suggested. In between these two routers, I have 10.1.23.0/24, and this is the .2, and this is the .3. On these interfaces, I have no IP. On these interfaces, I have 10.1.14.1/24, and on this interface, I have 10.1.14.4/24. So these guys are on the same subnet, and what we're going to do is they're going to appear as if they can reach each other, as if they're on the same broadcast domain. Now, to accomplish this, we're going to use two different methods. We're going to use Atom, and we're going to use Layer 2 Tunneling Protocol, V3. We're going to configure both of these live. They only take a couple lines of config each, and we'll go ahead and do a test ping from here over to our destination. We'll clear the configs, and we'll do it again. Okay, here we are on router 1. This is going to be our very first host. Let's do show IP interface brief. As you can see here, we have only a single IP address, and it's a /24. And our router 4 should share the IP space. Routers 2 and 3 are going to have the layer 3 domain in between them. You see I have the .2 on router 2 and on router 3 the .3. Okay, the first one we're going to use is we're going to do Atom, which is any transport over MPLS. So we need to configure the MPLS basics on router 2 and router 3. To do that, we're going to get into global config mode. We're going to make sure we use LDP, and we're going to define our router ID as our gigabit Ethernet interface. So router ID, gigabit Ethernet 0/1, and we're going to force it. Global config, MPLS, LDP, router ID gig01, force. Now if we get into our interfaces, we'll just go ahead and turn on MPLS. We should have an LDP neighbor come up. And here we go. We got an LDP neighbor up. Okay. Now we'll get back into global config, and we'll start our pseudo wire. We'll call this lab number 1, and we'll do encapsulation MPLS. And that's all the configs we need. We'll repeat the same steps over on router 3, which is pseudo wire class. We'll call this lab number 1, encapsulation MPLS. Now we'll go to our client-facing interface, okay, which is gigabit 00, and we'll do xconnect the remote host. We'll call this 1 for lab 1. Our pseudo wire class, it was called lab 1. We'll save that. We'll come over to router 2. We'll configure our client-facing interface here. to use the other peer's address. All right, let's make sure our XConnect is up. It looks like it's active here. Segment number 1 is up. Segment number 2 is up. Our encapsulation is MPLS. Same here. Show XCon all. Up, MPLS, and up again. So if I come over to router 1, I should be able to ping 10.1.1.4.4. If I trace, it should be directly connected. So that was the first one. So now we have complete reachability. We'll go ahead and back these configs out. I'll pause the video, back the configs out, and we'll start the next layer 2 tunneling protocol v3. Okay, and we're back. Just to show that I've backed out the configs here on router 1, this is our first host. I'm going to ping 10.1.14.4, and these 5 pings should be they should time out. Over on router 2, let's go ahead and configure another pseudowire class. Let's call it lab number 2. This time let's do encapsulation layer 2 tunneling. And in fact, if we do a question mark here, you see we have version 2 or version 3. We go ahead and do version 3. I'm also going to define our local address, which is going to be interface gig01. Over on router 3, we repeat the same configs. It's just those 3 lines. We call this lab number 2, encapsulation layer 2 tunneling protocol v3, and IP local interface 01. Over on our client-facing interface, we need to configure the XConnect for facing our remote side. We need to configure our XConnect to connect to our remote side. We called this one lab number 2. And over on router 2, again, we just do a mirror image of that. So I'm going to do 10.1.2.3, 10.1.23.3, do 1 on both sides. A pseudowire class, we called it lab number 2. So now if I do show XCon all, it looks like I'm down, layer 2 tunneling protocol, and down. And let's check this side. I'm up on this side, and now I'm up on this side. So if I go over to my R1, I try to ping, I got the 5 pings. So that's it. So those are our 2 methods, Atom and layer 2 tunneling protocol v3. I don't actually know the VXLAN solution to this problem. I only know how to solve it these 2 ways. There's also a legacy method that is no longer supported using a GRE tunnel and bridging a physical interface and a tunnel interface. That's no longer supported in the code that I'm running here in EVE-NG. Let me know if there are any other solutions to this, and as usual, I'll be posting the configs on the blog. Thanks very much. Thanks for watching.